There we go.
Morning, everybody. And
Morning.
Morning.
Bob, it's good to
Morning.
see you back, and Ace and the rest of the
Well,
regular.
thanks. Good to be back.
We have actually 19 photos this morning. So we're going to get started with announcements and tips and tricks from Bill and then move on to photos. So Bill?
Okay, two things, I guess, for announcements. Number one, I spent some time last week with Bob Seidel and with Susan, and we were going over some things in in Photoshop Elements, and just trying to come up with a basic kind of overview of some of the functions that I use. And I use very little of it because I try to get as much, straight out of the camera. But from Bob and from Susan, it sounds like it was a good starting point of getting people maybe familiar with some of the tools, some of the functionalities like straightening and cropping, sizing, and, because sometimes people just need that little step in the water to maybe go the next step further. I don't plan on going on and, learning how to do masking and other stuff, layers and stuff, because I really don't use it and I don't need it. But, if there's somebody that has a more intimate knowledge of Photoshop and Elements that could move people along, that'd be a good thing too. So I'm going to try to put together a little program and hopefully get it out to the folks. It seems like it might be best if it's something that we can meet in person, because it's a little more on hand, hands-on than just going over some things on Zoom. But we'll try to get something going in the next, maybe within the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Well,
besides that,
just to add to that, whether in the short term or the long term, I'm willing to help with Elements. But as I've acknowledged that I don't do much either, but I do have a workflow. But the one thing I'm not good at all is layers. And hopefully AJ or somebody else out there that uses Elements can boost that part of it. I'd like to do a little bit more with Elements than I'm doing. So anyway, holler at me.
Does anybody use Lightroom?
I do. I have Elements and Lightroom and Photoshop. I think I have all of them.
Okay, because
So-
in GIMP, in Affinity.
Lightroom's all that I use. So
Yeah, I have that. It's very similar to Photoshop.
With Mike, I think that's at least 3 others that would like to dig into, Leslie, Susan, well, that makes 5 that would like to hit 6, but Larry investigate layers. So if there's somebody out there that would be willing to get us at least started with layers, that would be fantastic. Leslie and I've spent hours and all we've done is frustrate ourselves.
Okay, so let's move on to lenses. And
Bill,
we've done
hang
this,
on.
I think, once.
Well, let me make an announcement very quickly before you go to the tips and tricks. The registration deadline for senior games and silver arts is coming up through the senior center. Early registration is March 4 to 18. And then if you want to spend $10, I think you can wait until April 1st to enroll. But the silver arts part, Larry and Mark and I think are the only ones out of this group that ever that enters silver arts. Well, I think we are the only ones that have entered the last several years, and there are too many other good photographers with stuff that should be shared and that's a venue for doing that. They take the top 3 and you go to state. In the last several years, everybody that's entered photography has gone to state. And in years past, there's been nobody entering film. And this year I decided I was going to enter film and be the only participant statewide. Then it turned out there were 2 others, but it's a good thing to get involved with. Mark does a lot of other things besides the photography, wood turning, wood carving. He does a lot of the athletic events, but call the senior center if you need more information, and I'll or ask Helen to put a notice of this into the minutes so that you'll have contact information. But if you call the senior center, it's Liz Latte to talk to. So, okay,
That's just Chatham County, right, Mike?
pardon me?
It's Silver Arts is Chatham County?
Yes,
It's
I mean,
statewide.
there's competition in every county.
Okay.
But, you enter the county, and as I said, for Silver Arts, the top 3 go on to state. And it's not just photography. I mean, it's crocheting, I think, quilting, almost any craft that you can think of is part of it. So, okay, Bill, sorry to interrupt, but
Well, this tips and tricks is pretty much kind of a group conversation when it comes to lenses.
Oh,
Probably none of us have every lens we want, but I think the first question that you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do that you currently can't do? Yeah, because that's usually the reason for buying a new lens. Like in some cases, you may have an old kit lens that might go from 3.5 to 6.3 f-stops, which is not good for low light stuff. You know, do you want to do more night photography or astrophotography? Then you need a lens that is going to allow more light to come into your camera and reach your sensor. So, the first step is always to find out what you really want to do that you can't do today. So what's something somebody wants to do that they can't do today?
close-ups.
Meaning macro?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
There's
Bill,
I know a couple folks out here that have macro lenses. What I'll tell you what I do is I don't do enough of it because I still don't know what kind of photography really grabs me. So I can't go out and get every lens and then all of a sudden just use it periodically. So what I do for close-ups and for macro is I use something called extension tubes. And, I bought them used for like $25, and I can use my current lens and put these extension tubes on it and then actually kind of simulate macro. So that's the cheap man's way out.
Bill, can you explain the focal point on lenses?
Well, there's focal points and there's focal ranges.
Okay,
One is when you look at your lens and there's a number on the lens that tells you how much light is going to come through your lens.
Mhm.
I have lenses that are 2.8, which lets a lot of light come through. Here's an example. I have one lens that the focal length goes from 24, which is kind of like a wide angle, and goes to 120. So that's the focal length number in millimeters. Now, the other thing is how much
wait a
light.
second, can I interrupt? What does that actually mean? What does the focal length mean?
One will be, say, wide angle at the 24 millimeter side. And then as you go to the 120 millimeter, it zooms out.
Okay.
So you're changing the field of view. You're getting closer to your subject.
Zeroing in on the subject. You know,
Right.
far away, you just zoom right into it.
Right, yeah.
So I have this 24 to 120 that is an f4 lens. Now, what that number f4 means is what's the most amount of light that can come through that lens and reach the sensor. Now I have another lens that goes from 24 to 70. It doesn't zoom out quite as far, but the amount of light that can come through it, it has an f2.8. And what the difference between that f4 and 2.8 means is that twice as much light can pass through that lens and come onto the sensor. So if you're taking pictures later at night, it's allowing more light to come through. So, so if you're looking to want to take more night photography, you probably have to consider getting a lens that will allow more light to come through. So if you have something currently that's like, an f4, f5.6, you would want something with a lower number to allow more light to come through. Because if you have a lens that's f5.6, it lets a certain amount of light to come through. If you have one that goes down to 4, it doubles the amount of light that comes through. If you have a lens that's 2.8, it's another doubling of the amount of light. So, the more light that comes through will generally mean that the lens is going to be more expensive. So for nighttime photography, you need a lot of light to come in on your sensor, because your other way of being able to take pictures at night would be to raise your ISO, the sensitivity of your sensor. But what that does is that starts introducing noise, or what we used to say in the film days of grain. So it's a balancing act of how you're actually going to take that image. And it depends on the camera that you have, the sensor that you have. There's a lot to it. But
let me add a
Go.
couple of other quick points. One is a single focal length lens as opposed to a zoom lens. One that is just a 50 millimeter lens, not a 24 to 70, but a 50, period. A fixed focal length lens is going to be cheaper than a good zoom. And so if if you want to do macro, find a lens that will do macro, and you're going to save money compared to having a zoom. You won't be able to go from macro to telephoto without changing lenses, but it may save some money. The other thing is every lens at every focal length has a minimum focusing distance. And you should see, and I wished I'd brought a lens down with me, but on the specs for the lens, if you look it up online or have the manual for it, will tell you at what focal length is the minimum distance you can focus. A lot of lenses that are good macro lenses will go down to millimeters almost. But every lens in your kit will have a minimum focusing distance. And if you're going to do some macro or close up, find the one that will focus closest.
Can I add something to that, Mike?
Sure, I will. Where'd you go? There you are. I see you. Go ahead.
In order to not spend a lot of money, my personal experience was on the 50 millimeter, which is also known as a nifty 50, has various other manufacturers than your current camera. So for example, I've got a Sony, and I purchased online used a Minolta lens, which is a f1.7, and it goes down to about 2 feet. And I purchased online an adapter for my specific camera. So you would have to use this lens manually, and it does not hook up with your autofocus. So there's a method of using it for focusing, but it's a wonderful lens. It was like, I can't under $40, and it was a great lens to use. And I was going for the 1.7 f-stop. So it goes 1.7 to 16. So it's a pretty good deal if you want to look at lenses that you can adapt to your current camera.
Yeah, I'll make a quick comment too. Tokina, Tokina, makes some really good quality macro lenses. I just bought a 100mm macro for my Canon. Canon lens would have cost me $1,500. I think I spent $350 on the Tokina lens, and it's great. It focuses down to 11 inches, I think. So if you have a Canon and you want to try it, I'd be willing to, let you try it out. But they make them for Canon and Nikon, and I don't know if they make them for other cameras or not. But that's a reasonably priced option, and they make a really good quality lens.
If you
So
shoot, if
I
you
have a
shoot-
different,
Go ahead, Keycom.
sorry. I have a different situation, since the reason I bought cameras was to do photography when I'm backpacking. So I want as light a camera as possible. So when the digital cameras came in, I waited until the zoom capability was of a good enough quality for me to switch from having multiple lenses to having a single lens camera. Right now I have a Nikon Coolpix P900 that goes from 24mm to 2000 optically and to 4000 digitally. So I can do macro a couple of different ways because of the settings on the camera. And I can also do zoom up to 2000 digitally. And I mean, as far as my pictures go, I'm extremely satisfied with them, both macro and zoom. And people who see my photos agree that they're very good pictures. So how much did this camera cost? Under $500, and I don't have to carry multiple lenses.
What kind, can you repeat what kind it was?
It's a Nikon Coolpix P900. It's several years old now. I keep forgetting that the past 2 years have added a couple of years to what I thought was.
I think we're all feeling that way.
But I'm sure that they have an upgraded version of that. And I'm sure that there are other models, other brands that also have that long range and also the macro down to 24. So when I use the macro, especially when I'm outdoors, I have a couple of ways of doing it. I have an automatic setting, which allows me to switch it to either macro or landscape. And I use that often for macro. So I don't even have to get close to the object to take a picture because I can zoom with the macro setting. I can also not zoom the lens and put the camera within an inch or two of what I'm taking a picture of. Usually it'd be very tiny flowers when I'm out in the wilderness, far north where there aren't any trees, therefore the flowers don't get very much, don't grow very much and aren't very high off the ground. I can also take pictures of insects when they're on the ground and get within a couple of inches of them and take macro photos.
Interesting.
Fujifilm also makes a very similar camera. I have one of those and they're great for keep it in the car all the time.
Yeah, that was my first camera, was the Fujifilm. And that I had Model 10, and then eventually a couple of years later a 30, and then a couple of years later a 50. And then when Nikon came out with this one up to 2000 macro, then zoom, then I switched to that camera.
And Ace, what was
I've
your
gone through
camera?
that.
It looked like a Canon, but I couldn't tell
This
anything.
is, yes, a Canon PowerShot SX70.
Well,
And
this is
it doesn't
what it
quite
looks
have,
like. So it's not very big.
right, it's
Ah.
very similar. These cameras are amazingly light, makes it very
Yes.
portable and amazingly versatile.
Yep.
And included with the that is incredible zoom, this only goes up to 1350 65 on the zoom level. But to get a fixed or a telephoto interchangeable lens, you're going to spend $3,000 or more for one, just the lens,
Exactly.
right? So I can get images that I couldn't get with my 300 millimeter lens, zoom lens that I had with this, and they may not be as sharp, but I can get them. Plus, the incredible technology for image stabilization allows me to do that full zoom without a tripod and get a good picture.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of, like, life is full of trade-offs, right? And I'm willing to do the trade-off to get the picture that I couldn't have gotten otherwise if I didn't have that incredible zoom. Plus, this also, as you're saying, does incredible macro, where you can actually zoom into a very small thing from not even being that close to it, or you can get up close to it. I mean, there's all these permutations of possibilities you can do with these cameras, including low light levels, and the flexibility is just amazing. And it doesn't cost that much, which is even better.
Yeah.
I have a question kind of going back to the thing about the minimum distance that you can focus at. Is that specified when you're looking into the specs on a particular lens, or is that, and
Yeah.
where is that specified? Is it specified in the description of the lens, or do you have to
Right,
Google it up, or
right.
where?
Yes,
And
it's
there
just the
is
specifications.
there is a scale on the lens itself, and it's the little tiny stuff that has infinity at one end, the infinity sign, the lazy 8, and on the other end is a number which is your minimal focus distance.
Mhm.
But the easiest way, Susan, is just to look at the documentation.
Right.
There are websites. DxO is one of them. DxO is one site where you can get all kinds of lens information and reviews. They do all kinds of high-end analyses for sharpness, etc. This subject is obviously one of a lot of interest,
Mhm.
and maybe we
This might be a
should-
separate meeting sometime, just
I don't
lenses.
I think we're on the verge of doing that now. But that's good, because there's been a lot of interesting stuff here, and hopefully there's something that everybody can learn from, whether you wind up using it or not.
Well, Mike,
can
when
I-
you started,
Yeah.
if I could add, what you started with is the bottom line is, what do you want to do? What do you want to photograph primarily?
Yep.
And then how much do you want to invest to do it?
Mhm.
Can I mention also, I think I've mentioned this before, but so you don't have to buy new, and some of these lenses and cameras are available used in B&H and also KEH in Atlanta. sell really good quality lenses and cameras. And they guarantee it for 180 days. So, I mean, it's, if it's not working the way you want it, you can send it back for a full refund. So,
Not to mention Southeastern Camera and University Camera right here in Durham
yeah,
and Chapel Hill.
exactly.
And they'll match prices sometimes too, like on new stuff. They didn't used to, but now they do. Like if you see something new on B&H, you go into Southeast Camera and they'll match it.
Okay.
Well, there's even a cheaper step than buying it used, and that is if you're not sure what lens you want, rent it. There are lens rentals out there that are dirt cheap. You can keep it for X number of days or weeks. And if it works, I think you can even buy the one that you're just renting. If you don't like it, you can send it back.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, I think sometime we ought to maybe get a separate meeting and just even talk more about this stuff, because like you said, it can continue on. It's like even, you know, a lot of times people think of landscapes as being maybe a wide angle lens so that you capture a lot of what's out there. But using a telephoto lens can be a whole different thing, because there's something that's called compression, where it might bring trees from the back of the scene a little closer to the front ones, and it gives it a whole different feel and a whole different look. So yeah, we could talk about this stuff for a long time, I think. Maybe we should.
Actually, maybe what we could do is even have, I don't know if it's a tips and tricks or challenge or whatever, but have a little special presentation of somebody who, you know, is using like KeyCab or Ace, a certain kind of camera, and just get a look at the different kind of pictures that they've been taking with that. I think because many of us are moving so that at least we own cameras that are quick to grab and versatile. And I certainly would like to, you know, hear from somebody who, just like we were talking about it today, what they've been doing with these cameras. And, you know, maybe that's an option then for many of us to add to our stable. Yes. Oh, yes. And like Tom is showing just this very minute. Which one is that, Tom?
This is a Sony RX100 Model 2, and it was described to me as the camera that professional photographers use on vacation.
Which one is that again? RX?
Sony RX100 II. That's an old model, so there's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got the old Canon G15 that really pretty interesting camera as well.
Yeah, here you go. Wait a minute.
Well, this is
There you go.
a similar format.
Yeah.
The Ricoh GR. It's only a single focal length, 16 millimeters, I think. But this is another really high quality small camera. Used a lot of
Does
time
anybody know the
street
quality of
photography.
No, sorry.
Leslie?
The quality of photographs, like from an iPhone versus what Tom and Mike just showed?
Well,
I'm not sure that, I think there's a possibility that my phone is better than my camera.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
haven't done a test, but they're close. But
Yeah.
The problem with the phone though is, you know, even with the telephoto, you just can't get, you know, you can't get those birds with that, or you can't get the distance. So I would really like to see, you know, like the difference with KeyCab with your camera with tremendous telephoto power, what that really, you know, what you're able to kind of get with that in comparison.
If you want, I can show you two pictures right now. See if I can share my screen.
Well,
Is he able to share a screen, Mike?
Yes,
Yeah.
should be able to.
Well, let's see if I can. do that.
Isn't the main issue if you wanted to blow something up to a larger size, a print, you wouldn't be able to do that
Yes.
with some of these cameras, just like the iPhone?
Well, it really does. It comes down to sensor size. and they don't make,
Oh,
Let's see if it shows. Can you see this?
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
So there is
Pretty.
actually a moon setting on my camera, but all it does is zoom the lens to the maximum 2000.
Hmm.
And so last week when we were in Puerto Rico, and we had a full moon, took a picture of it. And that's zoom maximum.
Wow.
can you click on that, Kikab, to give us a full screenshot?
Yeah, let's see what I can do here.
Is that digital zoom or optical and digital or just optical zoom?
This is just optical.
Best to keep it at that too.
Yeah, let's see.
Digital zoom is
Okay.
not that.
So that's full screen, I think.
No.
No,
Not yet.
Not yet. It is on mine, but so
Uh-huh.
I guess I need
Go
need
out
tips
and-
and tricks on sharing, huh?
Yeah.
Well, as
So-
I started to say that the real question is sensor size, and it goes to what Lynn was saying. If you're not going to blow up to 16 by 24, you don't need a big sensor, but you would have to be hard pressed, I think, to get a really good high quality print that size out of an iPhone. You know, there's even film photographers, 35 millimeter versus medium format, which is 120. The film size is maybe 3 times, 4 times bigger than 35 millimeter. The newest and highest priced digital cameras are using medium format size sensors. And that's a good size sensor, but Hasselblad and some of the others that are on the market that will cost you $15,000-$20,000. But sensor size is what it's really all about. But if you're not going to blow them up, if you're not going to enlarge them and have them printed, it doesn't really matter. iPhone's fine.
Yeah.
Well, what shall we
The other
do?
thing to consider,
Go ahead,
Gotcha.
Mike.
the other thing to consider in sensor size is the APC sensor versus like a full frame sensor gives you a crop factor. So on my, that's one reason why I prefer my my APC sensor size for bird photography, because it makes my 400 millimeter
Mhm.
lens essentially
Right.
a 640 millimeter lens.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the quality, the detail quality in APC is fine. I can do 12 by 18 prints and it looks good.
Right, and that's an APC size sensor, which is much larger than probably the phones are. or
Yeah,
the
the
even
phone
the
sensors,
advanced.
the biggest thing on the phone sensors is, to me, is the size. The quality of the details you get, if you compare your iPhone 13 to, say, a good APC sensor, is significant. The quality is significantly better in the larger sensor.
Yeah, sounds like more at a later date on this subject.
Yes.
Looking at the time, and we have 19 images.
And let's do this. There are, I don't know how many that turned in 2 photos. Why don't we run through these, and if you have 2 photos, we'll either stop and talk about the first one or the second one, your choice. And if we have time at the end, we'll go back through and pick up the second photo. Would that offend anybody? Well, that's not a right way to say that, but I hope that doesn't offend anybody. But
Oh, I
if,
think it offends everybody. Are you trying to offend us?
yeah, that was my intent. I'd be
Not
happy
doing
to
a
keep
very good
going.
job.
I'd be happy to keep going on lenses. I mean, I really would, because I have.
Yeah.
I think I've used this initialism before, but I have gear acquisition syndrome, and so you can never have too many lenses in your kit. So, all right, let's get going with
Yeah.
photos if I can do this. And Betty, you're first up.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay, well, this will. Yeah.
Nice.
My two are quick because I did go into my archives. And what I wanted to do, though, is this was taken with my Sony Nex 6, which is the original, beginning mirrorless. And of course, it had some limits, but by the time I put it through photos in Photoshop, given what all we've got today, I thought it came out, pretty respectable in terms of sharpness and contrast and all of that kind of thing. And the same thing with the second one. Anyway, these guys were putting in our front walkway.
How'd you get him to smile so much?
He was just one of those, photogenic people that
Yeah.
finally, after I watched them and everything, I said, "Oh, can I take your picture?" I mean, this was like 8 years ago. I'm not much on being able to ask people that and that sort of thing, but he was just having such a good time up there, and it was one of those rare moments when you can.
I like the idea that the guy on the left, his hat's a little out of focus because he's movement. Sometimes if you're trying to get somebody who's doing something, you want to be able to somehow show that there's an activity going on versus just being posed. So
yeah, good point.
Yep.
this was
We can go to the second one. Oh,
Did you crop this?
oh yeah, yes. It's been cropped, it's been sharpened, it's been definition, highlights, shadows, quite a bit of all kinds of playing with contrast and everything to bring it out, because 8 years ago, I was just shooting this guy smiling and laughing, and we can do.
I would like to have seen his left hand.
I think that, I think that wasn't in the picture.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that's one thing that was not there. Yeah.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
about the top of the hats?
No.
That doesn't bother.
Well, no, I don't know. No, I think all.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know. Come to think of it, I think all of that was very much out of focus at the time, probably. And I cropped it way back then.
Mhm.
But
I'm
you
gonna
would have liked
take
to
us
see
out of
that
this
all in.
and get
Yeah.
the slides back up, because I've done something that is not allowing me to go to the next one. I'll be. Let me close out on preview, and now it won't even let me do that. Let me do that. Well, maybe we should have continued to talk about lenses.
Well, it's interesting to me that, the top of the hats is what bothers me. It could be somebody, the elbow on the right-hand side, or is, I can't remember who said the hand. Who was that? I'm sorry, I didn't. Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't have my thing up, so I didn't know who was talking, but it's just different things bother different people. It's interesting.
I finally
people
figured it out.
like
This is Betty's second.
Wow.
Oh, she's a raptor rehabilitation specialist at the Birds of Prey Center in South Carolina. And this is, again, was a very old one taken with the Nex 6. And then, kind of cleaned up with
Mhm.
Photoshop, and not Photoshop elements and photos.
So would you say that was better, Birds of Prey?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Center for Birds of Prey.
yeah, we
in
had
South
that
Carolina.
similar, when I was up in Connecticut, there was one up there too, that
Yes,
they would allow you to come in and photograph them as they were working with them.
yes.
But it was by
This was
appointment only.
this one even now has a photographer's tour that, you can sign up for. In fact, I tried to do that some years back, but the weather always was really bad and was hard to time getting down there. But I noticed they have like 4 a year of photographers tours where everything is closed except to photographers who are able to, get the pictures.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
It's so clear.
Yeah, that's a beautiful picture of that bird.
Yeah.
This is Key Cobb.
Mm,
Wow.
mm.
This was 2015 when we were in the Altai Mountains in Mongolia.
Mm.
And these two men are part of a family, a Kazakh family, that served as our guides and support food and shelter. So they're collecting wood for the food that we will be eating camping out in the Altai Mountains. This was done with a Fujifilm camera, and it's not been touched at all. So this is the original photo.
Wow, amazing.
Really nice.
Key Cobb, I really like this. And since it's not processed, I think the goal would be to bring a little more detail out in the sky.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I
That's
don't know if you
great.
can see a little horse in the middle
Oh,
of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a great shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like,
Thanks.
I like that the flowers at the bottom somehow
Yeah.
contrast to the harshness of the
Yeah,
environment.
and
It
some
adds
touch
depth.
up would make that a little bit clearer, the flowers and
Yeah.
the sky.
Yeah.
Great
It has
shot.
it. Well,
Thanks.
in terms of the flowers, it's the trilogy of landscapes: foreground, middle ground, and background. It's got it all.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is also Key Cobb.
wow.
Same year, this is in Kathmandu, Nepal. And this was a couple of weeks before the earthquake hit Nepal. So I was fortunate to see this. Again, same camera, and the photo has not been touched up at all.
Wow.
Another good one.
So with a little
Yeah.
bit clarity, you can make the structure, but
Well-
yep, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement in this as well, which,
Yeah.
And color.
yeah, a lot
Color's
of
so important in that one to me.
Yeah.
Mike B. Are
Ooh.
you still with
Yeah,
us,
this
Mike?
is, I guess, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I'm taking liberties with people at work. At first, I was going to say that's a speciesist challenge, but I had a very nice encounter with a red-shouldered hawk here in Farrington last week, and thought it was a special photo, wanted to share. Let's talk about the next one, Mike. Go
okay.
to the next one.
That hawk is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh.
Yeah.
mm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Whoa.
this it was really interesting. I was walking along the Creekwood Trail. I'd taken some photos of, I wasn't sure of a downy woodpecker or a hairy woodpecker. So I'm walking on the trail and I stop, put my hand in my pocket to get my phone to pull up a bird app I have, and turn my head to the right, and about 12 feet away was the red-shouldered hawk sitting on a branch about 8 feet off the ground. I was really concerned that, I mean, these hawks usually the first time you see them on approaching is they're flying away because they're not very tolerant of people. And this one, I was concerned it would fly away. So I gently, softly said, I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to take your picture, and slowly raised the camera. And I don't
Did you
know.
get it?
I mean, I've taken,
Did you get a
What's that?
written release?
no, no, I'm not using it commercially. So, but I was so close with a 400mm lens, you know, I could zoom in and you couldn't get the entire bird. So I decided to take advantage of it and get a headshot, and also have a shot of the foot that it was standing on.
Mm.
And the detail is nice enough that it gives a shadow of the feather on the branch that it's sitting on. Looks kind of
Yeah.
nice.
It's
It is
beautiful.
a beautiful shot, beautiful.
I think it's better for not being the whole bird because you concentrate on the eye and the
Yeah.
face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was about to
They're
say,
not one of
Leslie,
them.
that catch light in the eye really does. I mean, it just draws.
Yeah.
it.
It's beautiful.
I think
interesting.
this is a silver arts photo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you should enter it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike, how
And what did
far away
you,
were you from?
About 12 feet.
and
Well,
what camera did you use?
My Canon 7D Mark
Okay.
IV, or is it? Yeah, Mark IV with 100 to 400mm lens.
Because I thought you'd said you took your iPhone out of your pocket.
I was reaching for my iPhone.
Ah, okay. Oh, because of the
And-
app, right, got it, The
Yeah,
app.
I was reaching for my
Yep.
iPhone, and the look to my right, and the noticed the hawk.
Got it. I thought,
But I had,
I
yeah,
misinterpreted what you said, that you were taking the picture with the iPhone, and I thought that was amazing if it was an iPhone picture.
yeah, no, I wouldn't. But winter is the best time of the year for bird photography because of the light, and there's no leaves on the trees. So
Right.
I always go out with a camera now.
this one is Larry.
Wait, can I ask another question? That was handheld, right? Mike,
Yes.
that's all I wanted to know. Thanks.
Yeah, so these are,
Definitely working.
I tried to get them all lined up. Of course, I asked permission because, it's a coffee shop but they had no, I mean, they were so busy that they didn't care, they were just they're making lattes and whatever. And they had a lot of people behind this fellow here on the right, waiting for their drinks. So it was really busy. So I tried to stand in the corner and start taking pictures. And this is the one that I got, that they were all facing the same way. And I don't think there's much blur and movement, but
No.
That's a great photo.
It's great.
Really
it's just,
good.
it's just
Nice.
activity.
Coffee shop.
I like the
It's-
concentration on all of them and what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely.
And it's good they're not looking at you. They're focusing on their job and you got a good shot of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The direction of the light too
Yeah.
is pretty good because it's on like their foreheads, their faces, but then on the sides you can see the shadows. Yeah.
Hey, Larry, did you think about cropping off that blue over there where Mike's?
I did.
or is-
I did, and I was, I put it in, well, we have to talk about this at another time, but I put it in elements, and I was trying to crop it in elements, and I was having all kinds of problems because they give you choices, and then you try to get out of the choices, and then it was very frustrating anyway. So I know
We'll
what
make
you're
it
saying.
easy. We'll make it easy for you, Larry.
I know what you're saying, because sure, to the left-hand side, you'd probably want to get rid of that blue tiles and that white piece of paper thing. And I did that, but when I went to save it, it always saved back to what they wanted you to do. It was like yeah, that's nice, but this is our idea, and you know, you have to accept it and live with it. So,
Larry, did
Yeah.
you say that, you said something a second ago that startled me. Did you have a second picture?
no,
Okay. I thought maybe
Where's
I'd
the
missed,
coffee
I thought
shop,
maybe
Larry?
I'd missed it. So,
no, that was, they serve good coffee here. They.
Where is
This
it?
is a little coffee shop in Pittsburgh, and they roast their own coffee there.
Do you know the name of it?
You know, if I had a brain, I would probably remember.
I go there every 4 weeks, so I know the name, but it took me a while. Aromatic Roasters,
That's
and
it.
it's on the way, and it's on the way into Pittsburgh, and it's where that big parking lot is, where there used to be a
Yeah.
something, what car place? I can't remember.
it's
Alpha Center, is that what it's called? Alpha?
Yeah. See, with all of us, we figure out,
Right.
it's basically right across the street from Chatham Marketplace.
Mhm.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so they were kind enough to let me shoot it.
Oh, I know who that is. Whose
This-
picture that is.
This is Tom.
That's Tom. Yeah.
That's not
That's
him.
Al.
Okay.
Who is it?
Wow.
Yeah, it's called, I call it a couple of working stiffs. And the one on the left is Alice, my beloved.
Oh,
And then that's the other guy is my friend Marcelo Mendez, and he works in our garden with Alice. She's a big time gardener. And this is just a simple photograph. The interesting thing probably might be that Marcelo has really dark complexion, and he has a baseball hat on, and you really couldn't see his face hardly at all. So I masked his face differently and brought it out with brightness a whole lot, and also highlights. And then well, you know how the masks work, and that's what I did. I masked his face so that it came out to be visible.
That's great.
Otherwise,
That's
it's
really
just,
great.
just a nice photograph of two beloved people.
Yeah,
That's a great
terrific.
shot.
yeah. I like the light on your wife's face.
Yeah.
The beautiful photograph of Alice.
Yeah, it is great. She's fantastic. And anyway, that's it. It's just a photograph that is precious to me.
Mhm.
I took it with Alice's phone, by the way, which is a 10. And now I have to go because I have a new hot water tank and it's being installed. See y'all. I love you. Goodbye.
See you, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
On.
Helen.
Yes, this is at the farmer's market here in Farrington. The woman with the pom-pom gold hat is the owner and was setting up. And we won't talk about who the woman in the blue coat is.
I'm guessing it's Betty.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. And she didn't ask my permission at the time either.
Yeah, I did ask the gal in
Afterwards.
the gold hat if I could take pictures, and she said, "Oh, sure." And I have a number of them of her smiling and doing other things, but all I've really done to this one is cropped and sharpened and perhaps worked on highlights a little bit, but it's just a snapshot of a cute setup that she's making.
I
Is
really
the
like the
next
composition
challenge-
of it.
Help me with this. Is the next challenge picture within a picture?
Oh,
No,
No?
no.
it's
for-
front, it's
for-
front,
Huh?
Front doors, locks, and mailboxes.
yeah, front doors, locks, and mailboxes.
Okay. All right. Well, if it was picture in picture, my picture in picture would be a close up of those bottles. But
Yeah.
just saying.
I tried to put a close up of her, but I didn't have enough detail.
Susan,
Yep. This
What
is
a
my,
variety of workers. This is great.
I know.
I like the
Mm.
reflection here.
Yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead,
This-
Susan, sorry.
this is my
Yeah.
physical therapist, so I carried my camera, I carried my camera around, so this and the other picture are things that I've been doing in the last couple
Yeah,
of weeks.
the next one is the one that really makes me kind of chuckle.
That's
Oh,
good.
that's great. That's
So
so
I
That's
actually
good.
shot it into the mirror, of course, because I couldn't turn around.
Oh, that's
Very
fantastic.
creative.
That is.
That's wonderful.
Great.
I love that.
That's great.
Oh, that
I'm
is great.
wondering,
You got a real action shot there.
yeah.
Mhm.
And we probably need to see an after of your hair to make sure that this didn't mess the coif up. It's a good shot.
What a great creative way of doing
Yeah.
the challenge. I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's also called desperation. In other words, you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm gonna be able to take pictures of. And then I was getting a haircut. And I asked the guy who cuts I said, Mike, can I take a picture? He said, I don't care. So
Hey, listen, I think a lot of creativity comes out of desperation.
Yeah.
you're right.
That's true.
AJ,
Ugh.
Ah,
Oh,
So-
wow.
You really
So-
have such a variety.
We can
Oh.
actually skip this one because I have two. I just was drinking at the Farrington Inn one day and the other day and I used my cell phone for this. So the other one's the one I would
Well, I
rather
think
talk.
this one's
Oh,
wonderful.
I like that though. That's,
yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
like
Mm,
the
oh.
bartender.
oh,
Oh, I know where
Movie
that
set.
is.
Where is that? What is,
Oh, no, I don't know where that
It's
is.
a movie
That's
set.
Wilmington, North Carolina.
it's a movie set.
And
Or
they're
TV set.
filming the TV show called Sleepy Hollow that was on a few years ago. I never watched it, but
Wow.
I had my Fujifilm Super Zoom with me. So that's what I used on this. I don't think I did much processing on it, but I thought it was an interesting photo
A
of
lot
people
going
at
on.
work.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That is
Mm.
great. Wow.
Mm.
Frank,
Okay, yeah, this is
Oh my
mine. I was
Oh,
down in Pittsburgh about 2 weekends ago and I was driving by a side street and I saw this gentleman out there painting the side of his van. And I thought
Right.
he'd make a great shot for somebody at work. So
awesome.
I didn't want to just go up and start photographing or have him get, I was nervous he'd get tipped off and maybe throw paint at me, but so I pulled up to him and just to break the ice, I said, I hope that's your van you're painting. And he started laughing. He thought, wow. And I said, do you mind if I take a couple of pictures? He said, absolutely not. And I just said, all right, you go ahead and just keep on doing what you're doing and I'll walk around. And so I got maybe 10 shots of him, but this one I liked because I had the reflection of
Oh, it's fantastic.
looking back at
Oh,
himself.
great.
Great.
And
Really great.
it's really interesting guy.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Reflection makes it.
I told Frank that I had met this guy, and it's a long story, but his
That's
name
Onikas.
his name is Onikas, Onicis,
Mm-hmm.
Onikas Gaddis, and he is a professional artist. He does wall-sized, kind of abstract, but look, and I'll share the story some other time, but you can look him up on Facebook, Onikas Gaddis, and he has a studio. He used to be over in Chatham Marketplace, but he moves around a whole lot. But his story, his life story, is really, really interesting. And in his paintings, there are hidden faces in most every one of his paintings. But this is a super shot, and not just because I know this guy, but the reflection. He is also a poet.
Yeah.
And does a lot
Cool.
of slam poetry.
Now, if you
That's
look
fantastic.
behind me, that's one of his paintings, because his studio was right behind that van.
Mm.
And so we went inside and he said, go on in and take pictures all you want, while he stayed out and painted. And I got this one that I just use as a backdrop. But yeah, really nice guy. Just,
I hope you sent him a copy of this.
I did. I sent him a copy because I went on his website and I got his email. He didn't have it on his business card, but the website had one. So I sent it to him. And but I haven't heard back yet. Sometimes I don't know how often he checks it.
Nice.
The only other thing I had to do was my car is in the background. I just blurred it out.
Mm.
But this one was from one of my archives because all right. This was taken about 3 years ago when I was in Morocco, and we visited a potter's studio there. And the original shot covered the whole guy up above his head down to the potter wheel. But then, I looked at it, but then, to do the picture within a picture, I zoomed in on just his hands. And I kind of like this one better.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
if
I
I were
like
going to
that
crop
too.
it, I would have cropped it even more to just focus on his hands.
Okay, yeah,
Because I keep on looking up to see where his head is,
yeah.
So, but it's a wonderful shot. I mean,
Yes.
just reflection of the clay is just
Clay,
incredible.
yeah, the reflecting of the liquid of the
Yeah.
clay, just amazing.
Well, I
Yeah.
think one thing that makes it really a good shot is that you quickly lose focus after you get past the hands. And I think that's a very positive thing,
Mhm.
because you get back even past his wrist and it starts getting, especially on his right arm on the left of the screen.
Mhm.
But good shot.
I also
Leslie.
like the ball on the left. I like the ball on the left too.
Mhm.
That's in there. I think that adds to the photo too.
Yeah.
Leslie.
Okay, so rounding out our diversity of workers, I had to get my oil changed and ask this fellow if I could take a picture, and he said absolutely. So I just happened to catch him when he was looking up, but the guy in the back is actually working, so I figured I got it. It's cropped, and I obviously changed it to black and white, but I think it's a good photo.
Oh, that's a nice.
Yes,
Beautiful.
great.
Yes.
The black and white really makes it, I think.
Yeah, it was just too
One-
busy with, you didn't focus on the people if it was
Yeah,
the color.
the black and
Yeah.
white's great.
Yeah.
He's got a great face.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and great eye.
I also think it's interesting if you look at it, and all of a sudden you go to look at his hands and you say, wait a second, and then you realize he has gloves on.
Right.
So's the other guy. So's the other guy.
Yeah.
Where is this, Leslie?
Mark Jacobson, I had a coupon for a $10 oil change. So I went to the dealership.
It's not a Pittsburgh place then.
No, it's over in Durham.
Durham, it's a Toyota, right, Mark?
Yeah, Toyota.
Okay.
Just everything about the face. It's such an interesting face, but the light on his face too.
Now, this is my other one. And
Yeah.
the reason that I cropped it the way that I did is because above the guy's head in the back, it was completely blown out.
Okay.
And so I just, I don't know what to do if you've got a picture. I mean, I guess I could have cropped him. Well, I couldn't really crop him, the background guy out, but I didn't know what to do about the blown out part.
Yeah.
I think the background, that black guy in back is the thing that caught my eye right off the bat. The fact, the way he's looking over. I mean, I'm glad you didn't cut him out, but I think by cutting out the blown out around him, you see him and you see his eye.
Yeah.
I think it adds to it.
I think
the fact that it is a little blown out makes him stand out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. I think he's the picture, actually. I saw that look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that he's so soft because I cropped it so much. that, but maybe that doesn't matter.
No, it's not.
don't
No,
know.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Good.
Well, they
It's
were
one of
very,
those,
they
it's
were
nice,
very-
it's one of
Go ahead.
those that sneaks up on you because you think that the subject is the guy in front because he's
Yes.
all clear and everything. And then all of a sudden that eye back there, distracts you. And it's a great picture, I think, because of that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to really crop him out, that's for sure. I mean, I
Yeah.
misspoke when I said that, but because I did choose the picture where he was looking at the guy, so.
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
I don't think he was looking at the guy. I think he was looking at you.
Look at you.
Oh, yeah, me,
right,
that's what I meant to
yeah,
say.
Exactly.
That's what I
All
meant to
right.
say. Sorry, I'm a little confused this morning.
Lynn,
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, this is
When
the
you
one,
went-
Mike, I thought probably would have been better black and white. But
What was he doing up there?
roofing,
yeah.
Oh,
Re-roof.
putting a
roofing.
new,
Yeah.
putting a new
New
roof
roof.
on
Well, he's carrying all the
the
tiles on
shingles.
his
Yeah.
Yeah.
shoulder there.
Yeah, what he's doing
He's
up
just-
there is endangering his life and limb.
Live,
Yeah.
I know.
No,
Is he on?
they're all hooked on.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see.
they're
it tied up.
belay.
Yeah, he's tied off.
But
Mhm.
still, what's amazing about the photograph is that he's hardly got his foot on the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the toes of his left foot.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and those packets of shingles are not light. I don't know how much they
No,
weigh.
they're really heavy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice framing with the ladder and the roof line.
Mhm.
Mm.
Wow.
I like the fact
Yeah.
that this one is in color because they provide the color.
Mhm.
Draw your eye
That blue
to them.
sky.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is beautiful.
What were
What
you
about-
shooting with then?
Pardon?
What camera were you shooting with?
I have a Sony A7 III.
Is this your house then?
No, thankfully.
I was gonna say, it looks pretty dangerous.
No, it's about three down from me, but
Well, hopefully you won't have to get your roof done.
Well, what about cropping in quite a bit to lose some of the bottom and maybe the dumpster down there, losing that and getting
Mm. Mhm.
something like
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. Just
Yeah.
another idea.
yeah,
Idea.
might be better that way.
I mean, it's almost like a mountain climbing picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I like it better cropped that way.
Yeah.
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 Well,
And what did you
Uh,
straighten out? Oh, I see what you straightened out, the vertical. Okay.
It's a great picture, though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Beautiful sky.
having offended everybody by trying to rush through, I have left us at 20 minutes. Oops.
Fine.
So,
Let's ask,
We could go
let's
back
ask the
and
big
talk,
question then.
we could go back and talk about lenses some more, or what were you going to say, Bill?
No, I was going to say, some of the things that people have said in the past is always about being afraid to maybe going up to somebody and asking, if it's all right if I take your picture. It sounds like people did that here today. Did anybody get a response saying, no, you can't?
Yes, I did.
Really?
The first people that I wanted to photograph were men that were working on an electrical something or other outside of the car dealership. And I just walked up to him and said, that I had an assignment from my photography group. And before I could even finish, he said, no. So I just said, fine, no problem. And I went off and did something else.
Yeah.
So just one. Yeah, people are usually pretty open to it. I mean, I've been asked that as well. So, yeah.
I also
You have
sent,
actually asked to take your picture, Bill?
Yeah. Well, not my picture. It was more having to do with Maggie.
I did
Didn't want to
tell,
embarrass you or anything. though, but-
The picture
I
was
did
taken
tell-
from the back of me, yeah.
if you say it's not going to be on the internet, I think that's much better.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, and actually, in the video that Bill sent out, there was kind of a special circumstance for businesses. And I think that there's a different expectation of privacy in a business. It's not a public place. And so that was one where it was probably very good to ask permission and then accommodate it.
As I understand it on the laws, public places, there's not an expectation of privacy, so that you don't actually have to ask for permission unless you're going to make some money off of the image.
Yeah.
If you're going to make money off of that person's image, then you're expected to either have their permission for free or give them some money for it, one of the two. But private property, businesses, things like that, you have to have permission to take pictures legally, as I understand it. But I'm no lawyer.
That I didn't submit these surreptitious pictures that I took at the car dealership. I found it very awkward to try to take pictures without people knowing I was taking them.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like it was really obvious that I was doing it, and it made me feel uncomfortable. Well,
Going
there's-
back to telephoto lenses,
Yes, that's
Yeah,
true,
well,
but
you know, the unobtrusiveness. I mean, that this camera and other cameras that are small like this are really made for street photography. And one of the ways and tying it back to Onykus, I was working around Onykus at an art center that was downtown for a little while. And this guy walks in and he has a dog with him. And long story, a little bit shorter, is that the guy that walked in is named Marty Watt, W-A-T-T. Do a search for him. He has a Wikipedia page. He's been in a movie or two. And he is living in a motel in Sanford. And he was infamous in the 70s for getting the rap poetry thing going in New York City. Ginsberg was a friend of his. And the way I met, way I met him, and that involved Onykus, was that the two of them started doing this poetry thing up in front of me. It was the most amazing thing I think I've ever witnessed. And both of them were just incredible. But to tie it back to, there was a tie back to street photography. Marty is a really big deal at the dog park in Sanford. And Marty walks around with an old camera. It's a digital, and he takes pictures of the dogs. And he never, and I've seen him do it, and I've seen the photographs that he gets doing it. He never shoots with a camera held above his waistline.
how did he focus then?
He is just so good at aiming that camera that he can do it unobtrusively. And and his is not one of the small cameras, but a lot of the people photography that you see on websites is done unobtrusively, hiding the camera or being so far away that anyway. Now I've
Well, I know
now
that,
I've told the story about how I met Onykus.
but I mean, there's a Leica camera that you can focus, that you can put around your waist and see the picture and take it, right? Isn't it? a Leica?
Here, wait. I've got,
It's film camera.
let me show you something here on this topic. Mike, am I visible?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Put your hands up. We can't see the camera.
Okay, so you see this, the way this
Yeah,
works?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
can
Oh,
always,
yeah.
I can always walk around with the camera down here like this
Right.
looking straight down at the screen. It's
Oh,
terrific.
cool.
Mhm.
So I was just going to mention, when we were in Ecuador years ago, we were told not to take street pictures of people.
Mhm.
So you have to be careful in some foreign countries with their culture
Yeah.
being opposed to being photographed.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
there's some specific places in Amsterdam too. But they tell you that they will take your camera and throw it in a canal.
Ugh.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
They take it very serious over there.
We won't ask why you were in that part of Amsterdam.
Yeah.
My
Did
wife
somebody
forced
take a
me into
picture
it.
of you?
The what?
Did somebody take a picture of you at that part of Amsterdam?
No.
That's funny.
Plausible deniability. Yeah.
I remember
All right,
that one time I was in Cuba and, I was out on the
I'm
streets.
gonna
and
go.
guys,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great pictures.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm gonna send a hand photo. As we talked about that with the man with the vase and
Okay.
doing I'll send it to Mike and Mike can forward to everybody.
Okay.
all right.
Okay.
Okay, it was a
Thanks.
pleasure. Great,
Yes,
great
absolutely.
photos.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank
Frank, what were you saying? We lose Frank too?
Oh, where's Frank?
Oh, yeah. He's not
Maybe he
there.
got offended that we didn't. Never mind. Sorry, Frank. Maybe he'll be back.
Lunchtime.
Yeah, well, maybe we could just end the meeting and, and let him wonder what happened here at the end. I continue just to be
yeah.
amazed at what's coming out of this group. And it's
Considering we don't seem to know very much about lenses or have a lot of questions about lenses and what else
Oh,
am I thinking about? Lenses and post-processing and all that sort of stuff. I think we have some pretty amazing photographs.
agreed. Is this for the one?
wow, who is
What's
this?
this?
Whose is this?
This was one of mine.
Oh, wow.
I didn't send any in because Mike had said he had like 19 of them. So I said, forget it.
Oh,
But this one is out.
great.
This was a old one I took out in Asheville. And this
I
is one of
love it.
those things where you can just lay your camera down on the table and
Uh-huh.
kind of aim it in a direction. And when you think you see something, just do it.
I love
Wow.
this. I mean, the man standing up is talking to the guy on the right, and the woman is so skeptical of what his reaction is going to be. I mean, it's just amazing. And the woman in the back is also skeptical of the man that she's looking at.
Smart women.
All
I
right,
don't see
everybody.
that at all.
I know.
I'm leaving, everybody. See ya.
All right.
Yeah.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Well, another good meeting.
Mhm.
Oh,
There's another one. Whoops.
I like the angle again. That's
I
unique.
love the
No,
colors.
that's terrific.
Yeah, that's the waitress that was at the same restaurant. She was taking care of us. And again, I just had this small camera. I
Yeah.
think it was something like a Canon SX40. It was probably back from about 2003. It was probably 3.5 megapixel. But just by laying it on the table
Yeah.
and just waiting for something to come around, I had no idea how it was going to be cropped. This is pretty much the way it came out. And this is
That's amazing. I never thought of that. That was a good idea.
and now what you have with some of the newer cameras is where you can have either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi to your cell phone. So you can actually lay it someplace and you can see on your phone where your camera's looking, and you can press a button and take a picture.
From your phone.
Yeah, even though
Oh my
it's taking a
God.
picture with your camera.
Wow, that might be an option for me. That's amazing. No, seriously, because I can't take a picture with a regular
Mhm.
camera because the buttons are on the right-hand side. Mm.
Yeah, because that's funky Asheville.
Yeah, I think the colors are just amazing in this
Yeah.
one. Because the shirt stands out so much against the background. It's great. All right, I'm off. Great meeting. Doors and doorknobs and locks next time. Well, we'll see what it brings about. Guys.
Be well, everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Take care. Be well too. All right, that's it.
Did you all leave? Yep.